So I composted about like 12 or 13,000 pounds of food waste on my property.
Damn.
12 or 13,000
That's
pounds.
a lot.
An immense amount of weight.
That is a
Yeah,
lot.
think about it in terms of elephants, right? So they're like 2 tons. You know,
I'm going to
so
take your word for it. I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, they're not too, think about that.
I was
They're
like,
huge.
damn, that's something I should know.
Tons. So yeah, I composted basically a couple elephants in my backyard.
We're back. We have Heather from Kona Compost. I said that weird.
Take 2.
That was with an accent.
Kona Compost.
Compost?
Compost.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited. We actually use your product. So when we were like thinking about like who we were going to have on in November and December, my wife suggested you, and I was like, that's actually a really good idea, because I've always found, my wife puts this like bucket out on our yard, and then like all the stuff that she collects,
it disappears.
It just disappears. And then I was always curious, like, I mean, you charge us obviously to come and do that.
Yeah.
But like, is there like another side to that where you're like what is the benefit, I guess, of collecting everybody's compost in like a mass?
So consider me your like organic trash person, right? So if you did not put your food scraps in my bucket, and typically people will just throw it in their trash can, it really just is not a good thing. What ends up happening is that it goes to the landfill and just kind of hangs out there for eternity, and ends up emitting all of this methane gas into the atmosphere. And it's just, consider it just like a missed opportunity. If you threw food in the trash, it's a total missed opportunity.
Yeah.
It just doesn't do anything. On the contrary, you compost it, and what happens on the flip side after it gets collected is that it goes off to a farm and over to another partner of ours, and it gets turned into soil. So essentially, food can just grow more food.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's got tons of benefits aside from that, but the big one is that it's just it doesn't emit the methane if it sits in the landfill. So you're a fairly environmentally conscious person then. Is that the motivator behind this? Yes. So yeah, I'm very environmentally conscious. I had this idea of the company probably going back like 15 years ago. So my background really is in the creative world. I was a photo director prior to starting this company, and at the time, my wife and I were living in Montgomery County, and I said to her, I'm out there gardening. I'm like, man, this compost is awesome. What ended up happening is in the office, people kept dropping off their banana peels and their orange rinds on my desk. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll take them home and I'll.
So what,
throw
you
them
like
in the bin.
you send out an email blast, be like, bring me your orange peels?
How
did that happen? Like, or were people just throwing food at you?
Yeah,
And you made it an
here.
opportunity. Were they bullying you? Like,
I was not being
I'll show them. I'll
bullied
start a
with banana
business.
peels. That's right.
That'd be the greatest anti-bullying campaign of all time. Be like, I flipped it on them.
Yeah, there you go. M&M that.
Okay, so like people knew that you were composting.
People knew that I was composting, and what ended up happening is that I'd bring in all of these vegetables, and people are like, oh, hey, this is great, and they would ask a couple of questions, and I would tell them about how I'm going about gardening and that I'm using compost, and here's how I'm doing it. And they're like, well, do you want my stuff? And I was like, sure, more the merrier, no problem, I'll take it home.
Yeah.
And so it kind of just sparked an idea, and I'm like, oh, okay, people are interested. They just don't want to do it themselves, but they want to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And they're totally cool with getting some vegetables on the flip side, or if, they're gardeners themselves, then, the benefit of getting that soil back, which is kind of how Kona Compost operates, is that we return soil to folks who want it. If not, it gets donated to somebody, like a community garden that can use it.
And is that like additional to if we would just call you and be like, hey, give us some dirt?
We do a big give back in the springtime. So we'll send out an email and say, hey, it's compost give back time. You can either sign up to get it back, or you can sign up to have your share donated.
Does that cost the customer money, or do you just give the soil back?
Yeah, it just comes back. It's
Nice.
kind of like that closed loop cycle of being a part of.
So that's factored into like the
Totally.
membership of being part of Kona.
for sure.
Yeah. Damn. That's like, did you get this idea from like, or like the inspiration obviously comes from you gardening and caring about the environment, but the idea and like the model, did you get this from somebody else, or did you like kind of just like amass this over time? Like, how did the model come together?
Yeah, so there's a little bit of research that went into it. There's a company in Philadelphia called Kona Compost that's been around for, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 years, something like that. And I'm like, okay, how are these folks operating, right? They're doing it in Philly where there's just, mass population there, and it works out really well, right? Suburb composting, little different. City composting, you've just got all those people in one spot. And they don't have room to compost.
It's denser customer base.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And so I did a little bit of looking into them, and that led to some other folks that were doing it around the country. And there's a huge group of community composters that are within the area here. I just met with a bunch of them on Sunday, and then there's tons just throughout the country, and I want to say in every state there is a couple of community composters that are doing the same thing.
Oh, so there's a fair amount of people doing this like across the nation then already.
Yeah.
Especially like it makes sense in the denser populations like Philly.
Yep.
Like if you get customers up here, like my wife literally tells everybody that lives around us about you guys. Because she's like, that one just get more people, and then and I'm like, I get it. But you have to drive to all the spots to pick them up.
Yeah.
Is it like, what are your denser, like what areas do you have like the most amount of buckets?
Yardley, Doylestown, Percy, Newtown.
Okay. So it's like that straight kind of swamp road shot.
Pretty much. I mean, you think of all the places that have a burrow, and that's the best spot for me to be in.
Okay. So you do target like more dense.
I do.
areas.
I've unfortunately had to say no to people because, like, for instance, I've had people in Regalsville and Irwina that are like, hey, we want to do this. And I'm like, if you can get your entire neighborhood to do it, I'll think about it and consider it because I would love to.
Yeah, but it's you got to stay so localized.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to drive, so far away to, Percy's at the top of it. And that's a hike.
Honestly, I grew up in kind of like the Newtown area and then moved to Doylestown during high school. And even when I moved to Doylestown, I thought Percy was like, that's too far.
Isn't that like
Like, dude,
10
like
minutes away?
if I was like talking to a young lady or something like that, she'd be like, oh yeah, but like, where you live, Percy? Be like, I'm not making that drive. Is that weird?
I don't know.
To this day, I'm like, oh man, I could move to Percy out there, and it's literally like
It's 15 minutes away.
it's
Yeah,
15
like
minutes
15
up the road
minutes.
from here, but
That's
it's always
hilarious.
just so far away to me. So I feel your pain.
Yeah, it's a huge county. So
Yeah, Bucks County, when you really think about it, is like such a weird. It has kind of, it's like a melting pot in a way. It kind of has like a little bit of everything
yeah.
in a weird way.
Yeah, I mean, you've got your rural communities, you've got your, affluent areas, you've got areas that are, not as affluent, and you get a pretty good mix of folks.
Yeah, so that's good. So Percy all the way to like the river, basically.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing this?
Kicked off in 2019, so right before everything
Perfect timing.
shut
Yeah.
down.
Good for you.
Yeah, which actually was great. I know we were talking a little bit earlier about the roads being empty. I mean, for somebody who has to drive, it was spectacular to have no one on the road at that time. And the other interesting thing was that people's waste was consolidated.
Yeah.
Somebody goes to school, somebody goes to the office, maybe somebody stays home, or whatever your dynamic is. All of that was just stuffed back into the home, and people were forced to look at as all of their trash.
Yeah, because little Johnny's not going to bring his banana peel home
No.
if he's eating it at school. He's just going to throw it in the trash.
Yep.
The only person I know that would bring their compost home is probably my wife.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah, she's crunchy.
Yeah, I like that.
That's what the people say.
She's crunchy.
A lot of people don't know that about her. And
What?
I might be blowing her spot up, but she's crunchy.
What does crunchy mean?
She's like when the first car we got her, she wanted a Subaru.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I get you. Yeah.
It's like yoga, Subaru,
Yeah, Anna's the same way.
tent dweller. Anna, your
Yeah.
girlfriend, crunchy.
Yeah, she wants to start a composting thing. She tried to in her backyard.
Yeah,
We live
yeah.
in Trenton, so it's kind of a city, and there was just no way to keep it.
You
You know,
have a backyard,
organized.
but it's like too.
Yeah, it's
It's
just not it.
It's too close to the house.
Yeah. Hey, would you come to Trenton?
If more people are interested, yes, I would come to Trenton. I mean, because that's, you always think I'm going, oh, God, Jersey, it's so far. Like, no, it's literally like 8 minutes over the, away.
Mhm.
Yeah, but you got to go over the bridge, which is always
Yeah,
dangerous.
that's
Those
always
bridges.
Yeah,
dude.
you never
Yeah.
know.
As
We
long
can't-
trolls.
If it's not the Washington Crossing Bridge, then we're good to go. That bridge stinks.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, if you.
It's so skinny.
I'll avoid that. I drive a larger truck, so like I avoid all those bridges at all costs.
Yeah.
Because literally, I just get people honking at me and just like, fold your mirrors in. It's always just like a dilemma.
Yeah.
But what kind of vehicle do you have? Like a wrapped vehicle that people can like spot, or is it just
Not yet. That's on the wish list for next year is to get
Nice.
a permanent vehicle. But no, I've been making do with I had one, got rid of it, and then just kind of went to a bit of a rental model, and that's good enough for right now. Until the car situation was so crazy. It still is so.
it's still crazy. I want to buy a new truck. Like I drive a diesel pickup,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I should just go to like the trucks one smaller than mine
Mm.
and not do diesel. And I was like, I wonder how much that would save me. And I was sitting there getting gas one day just in my truck, and I did the math, and I was like, I could save like $800 a month between my car payment and the gas. It's like $500 or $600 a month in gas.
Oh my God.
I would save in just money.
Wow.
I was like, what the hell am I doing? I immediately just started emailing car dealerships. I was like, that's a stupid amount of money.
Yeah.
And I don't sometimes I use the full amount of the truck, but most of the time I'm just driving around,
Yeah.
going different places. So I totally, when I was like thinking about like what you're doing as far as like going to different locations, there's been a couple of times where I'm like, I wonder how this all works. 'Cause like we lived in Yardley.
Yep.
You picked it up.
Mhm.
Now we live in Doylestown. You're still picking it up. And that's when I started being like, I wonder how big this network is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's fairly large. But yeah, I mean, I have like we were saying before, it's like I have got a dense customer base in Yardley. I mean, I live there, and people are interested and a little bit more environmentally conscious, and
For sure. Yardley's definitely a little bit more on the crunchier side.
it's crunchy. It's crunchy. I mean, I think Doylestown's
Doylestown's pretty crunchy
It's
there,
pretty
too.
crunchy. Yeah, it's pretty.
If
crunchy
I
there.
had to say crunch factor, Yardley and Doylestown are on the same level. Newtown is not crunchy.
Newtown might be a little less crunchy.
There's like 2 square blocks of crunchy people in Newtown.
I think Percy on the level of crunch though is getting there too.
Percy's crunch is
Yeah.
coming up.
I think so. I mean, their farmers market is pretty killer, and there's a lot of people that are there shopping and interested in that kind of stuff. So I'd rate it up there on the crunchy level.
I'm trying to think like what would be the criteria for peak crunchy. I think you would have to have someone like knitting socks onto telephone poles and things like that.
What the hell?
Have you ever seen that?
No.
Yeah, in Philly I have.
In Philly, there'll be like somebody just like will knit at home and make like a roll of like kind of just like a long. They'll knit it as wide as like the diameter or circumference rather of like a pole,
Yeah, it's the telephone poles are.
and they'll do anything like parking meters, all kind. Yep, there you go.
Yep.
Boom, dude.
That's insane.
That's crunchy.
That seems like some Vermont stuff right there.
Yeah, dude. Like that person like makes their own maple syrup.
That is insane.
Whoever does that, their sister probably makes maple syrup.
It's a whole new meaning.
Like they have like a whole family set up. They've got the knitter.
They got one for the phone.
Yeah, somebody like if you do that, like if you knit stuff onto poles,
Uh-huh.
someone in your direct circle is a beekeeper.
Mm.
That's how crunchy we're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's cool
crazy.
though. I think it's made very like what you're doing is like I don't know if it gets any easier to participate in like being good for because if people don't know, I don't want to take the episode down a rabbit hole, but there's a huge soil problem across the globe because of contamination from factory farming, the fertilizers, the way they're not like recycling the soil, and then probably because we're also not like participating in composting things. Like these are all factors, and if you can do like, you know, you only eat an elephant in one bite at a time. So like if you can fill a 3-gallon bucket full of like your coffee grinds and banana peels, like
It's kind of the least that you could do.
it's like, can you know?
If you're not going to throw it in this bucket, which is your trash can, you can turn 3 inches this way and put it in the other bucket, and then just put it out by the curb like your trash. So it doesn't really take much other than just developing a different habit and just changing just a little bit.
So how many buckets do you deploy? Like how many buckets do you have deployed right now?
Ooh,
They look like little army men. That's why I use deployed. They got green lids.
Yeah.
That's not funny. Do not laugh at that.
How many buckets do I have out there? I'd say somewhere in the neighborhood of like probably like 300, maybe 325.
Oh, wow.
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah, that's a guess, but yeah, something around that. Because there's some households that, like, I picked up from one person today, and their household has 4 buckets.
Oh wow, there's multiple bucket people.
Yeah.
I guess I've never even thought about that. We're a 1-bucket household.
You're a 1-bucket household, but yeah, there's plenty of households that have 2 buckets. The one guy that has 4 buckets is kind of the exception, but yeah, there's many households have 2.
Is that just because he has that much volume every week that he like requested 4 buckets?
Yeah, so he gets picked up like you guys, you get picked up every other week, which seems it's a pretty good cadence for people. And yeah, he's just got, a handful of kids and that many more mouths that are consuming, and he fills them up. And there's other things in there like pizza boxes and some other like plain cardboard and stuff.
That is one thing that is, I'm not embarrassed by it, but like if you drive past our house any one time and like the compost bucket's out, like there's been times where I've been backing out of the driveway and there's 4 pizza boxes.
The pizza game is strong.
And I'm like, and I think about it, I'm like, who the hell's ordering all this pizza? And then I'm like, wait, I ate a pizza last night. Like, dude, me and Ariel are Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
We have a pizza problem.
Dude, those things are hard to throw out. They're so big. Where do you put them,
You got to cut them up.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day when we were growing up, like the pizza place near my mom's house, like they had like this little square on the pizza box that if you cut it out and you got 10 of those, you got a free pizza.
Oh,
No
yeah.
way, really?
Yeah, so my mom would collect these squares up, and then like when she wasn't looking, me and my brother would steal like 10 and just go get ourselves a pizza. And she'd be like, all right, I made this for dinner. And we're like, we're not hungry. Like, we just downed a pizza. She's like, how'd you buy a pizza? I'd be like,
Game's a game.
whatever. Like, we were like kids. The first time we did it, it was just like this idea we had. We're like, okay, then can we do that? Can we be like adults and go buy this pizza?
This coupon doesn't exist anymore, and it's a shame.
Yeah, it is a shame.
I don't know. I don't think it exists anymore. Or if it did, it's probably inflated. It's probably like 20 pizzas now for a free pizza.
Yeah. So where's your favorite pizza spot then?
Around here?
Yeah.
You know Vince's on Durham Road by Organins, like the original Organins?
Yep.
Vince's pizza is pretty good.
Yeah.
Like they have this sweet and salty pizza. I can eat the whole thing in one sitting, and I'm proud of that.
That's insane.
It's got like a little bit of crispy bacon on it, but like not a whole thing. It's like bacon grounds.
Oh, okay.
And the cheese and like the onion, the way it's like, and then there's like some sort of sweet part of it that I just eat the whole thing and it's gone. I don't even consider what's on it.
It's probably the bacon is probably cooked in some kind of sugar.
Yeah.
Damn,
You know me too well.
That sounds incredible.
Their plain pizza's pretty good.
Yep.
I like Baco's Drunken Brooklyn Pie.
Oh, I've had it.
We've had that. Yeah.
Pretty good.
That one's pretty good. It's different.
Mm-hmm.
I guess in Doylestown, when we moved here, my wife asked on like a Facebook group, like, what are the good Doylestown pizza places? And the order in which they went, like best to least, we've found that it's actually the opposite way.
Yeah.
And the people of Doylestown don't know good pizza.
Yeah. My favorite pizza spot is out this way.
What's your?
I'm definitely stopping after.
I'm interested to hear what.
So Spatola's on Cold Spring Creamery.
Yeah,
I think they have the best pizza, hands down.
That was the list reversal.
Oh yeah.
Spatola's was towards the end of the list, and we had that pizza. I'm like, okay.
Oh man,
there's hope for Doylestown.
Pizza is awesome.
There's a lot of pizza places in Doylestown though, but I think there's more in Newtown. But there's more people in Doylestown.
Yeah.
There's like 17 pizza places in Newtown.
Damn.
I'm not exaggerating.
That's insane. I think Trenton has a shitload of pizza places.
Yeah, that's what you expect from Trenton.
Dude, there's like there's one literally around the corner from my house. It's called Cavello's. Amazing. They have like the best pepperoni pizza. Yeah, it's so fucking good.
We should do a pizza tour.
We should, dude. Literally every mile down the road, you'll find a new one. It's insane.
What if we just slice like one little bite of each pizza? And it's just like, nope.
Next.
It would take you because like I think pizza places are like, of all the businesses I can think of, they're the most like.
There's so many.
Mm-hmm.
There's almost too many pizza places.
But is there?
I don't know that. I'm not in the pizza business, so I can't really comment. I'm just talking shit.
It's not that hard to make, so I don't know.
Whoa, Gilmar.
It's not. I used to make pizzas. It's not that hard.
You did. And we could say that the pizza at that amazing place was never the same after you left.
Yeah, it wasn't, I guess. Yeah.
I know this for a fact because I would go there literally every Friday.
No, I haven't had it since.
It's not the same.
Yeah, damn. R.I.P.
Have you ever been to the Vault in Yardley?
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about their pizza?
So I usually get the mushroom pizza there.
The mushroom one. That's a good one.
It is. Yeah.
I'm a brown sugar buffalo guy.
My wife likes that.
That one's it's a weird pizza.
Yeah. She definitely likes that. I don't eat meat, so or like, beef and pork and all that, but yeah, she really likes that. If we're ordering, that's what she's getting, and I'm definitely getting the mushroom.
Nice.
It's good, but I got to be in the mood for mushrooms. I generally like plain pizza, and yeah, I definitely when I was driving here, I'm going, ooh, Spatola's is not far. I'm going to pick up a whole pie for myself.
You definitely should.
Yeah, I am.
Do you like a crispy pizza or more of a saucy pizza? Like, what's your ratio like?
Oh man, so it can't be too thick. I like New York style pizza, I guess, and so kind of the right balance of sauce and cheese. I don't want a very sloppy pizza. I don't want grease dripping all over the place, but and the sauce can be a little sweet, and that's cool. Yeah, so
a sweeter tomato sauce does do a pizza right.
Yeah, it's so good.
So that's what I think they have. They have like a sweet sauce, but not too. It's just perfect. So
as the sauce, like where your dough comes from, or if you make your dough, that's a huge factor. But I think single-handedly the most important thing is the sauce on a plain pizza. I think you have to, being fair to rate pizza places, it has to be a plain pizza.
Yeah,
because like Vince's pizza is this bacon nonsense with apparently has tons of sugar on it, as Gilmar's called out.
Well, the bacon is probably cooked in some kind of brown sugar.
It's
caramelized bacon.
That's exactly, I think, what the situation is.
Yeah.
So like that's amazing, and it tastes good for different reasons, and that's more of like you have to rate that pizza on like a dough consistency because the flavors are cheating.
Yeah, that's true.
So if it's a plain pizza, you got tomato sauce, the cheese, and the dough.
Yeah.
Let's see what you got.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
All right.
So you gotta let us know.
Yeah, let us know how that
What's your number 2?
Oh man. Yeah, so I actually had a pretty good slice from Piccola Trattoria in Newtown.
Okay.
It was pretty good. Wasn't plain. I forget what I got. I think it was like a drunken Brooklyn something or another, and that was decent.
They do have a good pizza.
And I do like Vault. It's so close. I could walk there. So
you live like in the borough, kind of
just outside of the borough.
Okay.
Yeah, like the borough line is right there. So
yeah,
I could walk down. I live in Lower Makefield, but
nice.
It's a nice distance to be able to walk down there if I want to. But it's sometimes nights I'm like nope, too far.
Yeah.
So when you were starting out the composting, you were composting on your own property, and then how soon after that did you have to like establish someplace else to take your compost?
Yeah, pretty quickly. So it was really kind of me testing out this idea. So got started in 2019, and my first couple customers are actually out here in Doylestown. And so as it grew, I was like, okay, well, I have all these compost bins in my yard. And I have a fair amount of space and I only have one neighbor, which is nice. So I composted about like 12 or 13,000 pounds of food waste on my property.
Damn.
12 or 13,000 pounds.
That's a lot.
That's like 2 of my truck.
Yeah, so I composted
maybe
a diesel
more.
truck's worth of of food
That's
waste.
you just have to think about that's an immense amount of weight.
That is a
Yeah,
lot.
think about it in terms of elephants, right? So they're like 2 tons.
I'm going to take your word for it. I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, think about that.
I was
They're
like,
huge.
damn, that's something I should know.
Tons. So yeah, I composted basically a couple elephants in my backyard. And surprisingly, nobody, it was made correctly, so nobody really had any reason to complain, right? If I didn't have a compost company, I'd still be composting everything that I possibly could back there. So, I just had that many more bins to accommodate all the food waste that I was bringing home. So, so I kind of quickly outgrew that space and went, oh gosh, I can't do any more than this. I've kind of hit max capacity and I got to find another spot. So I have a space on a farm, which is local to Yardley. And then I have another partner that I drop some stuff off to because, weekly I'm collecting thousands of pounds. So it's, one, I needed help. 2, I needed a bigger space. And so I just do my own food waste at my house now.
Nice.
So,
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
You can only do so many elephants worth of compost.
Yeah, that's it. I've had too many elephants.
So when you come out, do you swap the bucket or do you just dump the bucket into whatever containers you have in your vehicle?
So I have a cargo van and I have it lined with trash cans and the buckets just get tipped in there. I had initially started out swapping buckets and then I said to myself, like, this is way too much plastic. I have to have double the amount of buckets. Like, do we really need to have this many buckets? And it was during COVID and I was like,
that's a good catch. Mm-hmm. I didn't necessarily think about the double buckets.
Yeah. I just, I didn't want to contribute to any more of the waste stream. And, so I made the decision to stop swapping buckets and people were pretty okay with that. I was a little nervous and I went, I'm giving, clean buckets and I get that people really like that, but does anybody care?
No, I don't think they do.
No. So, people can line their buckets now if they want to keep them clean. And some people don't. Maybe they wash them. They probably don't wash them. But it's just a little bit more of an environmentally friendly way to go about it. So you still had your job and you started this composting business. How, was there an abrupt transition or did it kind of happen over time where on the weekends you were doing this and you kind of were like, I'm going to make this my full-time thing? Well, so actually what ended up happening is that I ended up getting laid off. And so I'm like, okay, let me just take a moment to think about this because I was collecting stuff at work and bringing it home and doing all of that. And then I was like, okay, I think it's time to move the ball forward and create this company and do this at a little bit of a larger scale.
So you were sitting on the idea.
I was sitting on the idea for well over 10 years.
Oh, wow.
So I had this idea, a couple of jobs ago, and it's sometimes difficult to walk away from a solid paycheck and health benefits and 401k and all of that stuff.
I think everybody can, anybody with a pulse and financial responsibilities can relate to that.
Yeah. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise to say, okay, it was myself and almost my entire department that got laid off. And I was like, well, if this is not a sign, I don't know what is. So I actually ended up interviewing for another role similar to what I was doing before, and I declined it. And I was like, I think I've had enough. It's time to,
That's really cool.
I didn't want to have any regrets, right? You get to a certain point where, you have the liberty of taking risks and making some decisions that either work or don't. And I didn't want to go, further down the road, which I was currently on in the creative field and look back and go, I should have done that. I should have done that, and it's too late now. Yeah. And so I said, no, thanks. I'm not taking this job. You can keep your, nice salary, and I will just figure it out. So, So, luckily my wife is super supportive and has a really great job and is able to kind of, help out in certain areas and afforded me the opportunity to just explore the idea and really kick it off and get it going.
So no regrets then?
No regrets. It is so nice
That's
not
awesome.
to sit in an office.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. I mean,
you're also making, it's really rewarding when you can like tie how you're making a living or like tie what you're doing with all your time back to something that's like really positive.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the industry that I was working in before, it was a good job. And, but I was like, does this align with my values? And no, it was a paycheck. I went to work because that's what you were supposed to do. Go to the office, do this, come home, do it all over again. That's just kind of how it was. And, and then reflecting back upon that, I'm going, oh my God, what was, like no regrets there either. But did that line up with my vision of how I want to live my life and how I want to teach and educate others and set an example and then offer people the opportunity to perhaps walk that same path with me. And, so looking back, just even when I first started, I'm like, okay, like there's just so much progress that's been made and, really happy with the decision to just do something different.
That's really cool. What was it like when you were starting out? Did you have to use a lot of social media, or was it like people you knew that signed up with you? Like, what was that initial push to get like customers? Yeah,
so I had a just a part-time thing that I was doing, and everybody in the office was like, "I want to sign up." Oh, okay, well here we go. And so it was basically 5 of my friends that wanted to get going, and so they signed up and paid me to, pick up their compost, and it just started to grow from there. Social media is such a great tool to get the word out and to reach more people, but it's really a word of mouth thing, right? If you're talking to your neighbor and they're like, oh, what is this bucket? Like, what is happening here? And, I've had it where people are just chit-chatting and going like, yeah, this is what I do. Oh, that's awesome. How do I do this? And, so, I mean, word of mouth for me is just enormous.
Yeah.
And the farmers markets are also a great avenue for customer acquisition because the people that are at the farmers market shopping have a right mindset of supporting local and are really appreciative of the fact that their farmers are, busting their ass to grow these vegetables locally, bring them to the market, and they're organically grown. And so, my customer is also the customer that is supporting our local farmers.
Nice. I'm going to add farmers market to the crunch list.
Yeah.
There it is.
You're not quite knitting scarves on poles, but if you go to 2 or one, one's not enough because like trendy people can go to farmers market to feel included. But if you go to 2 or more farmers markets every weekend or during the week, you're pretty crunchy.
Yeah, you're crunchy as F.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
But I didn't always go to the farmers markets when my wife would go on the weekends. But when I did, it was always just such a cool, just see all the individual businesses because some of them were fairly established. I'm not going to lie. Like some of them are pretty big businesses, but they're still kind of like, they have like this pop-up feel to them. Yeah. So like you're still dealing like with somebody that's like, closely to the ownership, or most of the people there are the owners of what they're selling. Yeah. And I always find that like when you're dealing in like products or merch, like whatever retail level you're at, if it's the owner you're dealing with and they're tied to what's being made or sold, like it always seems to be just a little bit better.
Sure.
Even like well on the like higher on the quality scale, like just a little bit better as like a standard. Yeah. But like usually the stuff's like well above what you could get like at a grocery store or
so much better. Yeah. I dread the end of the season where I'm picking my last tomato. I'm like, damn, that was it. until next year, the tomatoes at the grocery store are disgusting.
Yeah, I was trying to think who we were talking to recently that does a lot of farmers markets, and they were just like, the Nordbred.
Oh
Yeah. They were telling us all about the farmers markets and like just how they are, what the ratio of their revenue is farmers markets to like the retail.
Yeah.
Because they sell at like Organons and like probably a couple other places that I don't know about.
Places. Yeah, I was next to Bianca last weekend at the Yardley Farmers Market.
Oh yeah, she's great.
She's awesome, and their bread is so good.
Yeah,
and it, like, you better get to the market early, or you are not getting what you want.
Yeah, we promoted some pizza event they were supposed to have. And then I had to cut it out of the editing because it was canceled.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, oh man, and then I just shed a little tear for the pizza event because it was next Wednesday, and that's like what I was going to do for Thanksgiving Eve was make pizzas with Service Brothers and Nordbred.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Yeah, but
yeah, maybe next year.
R.I.P.
Yeah. R.I.P.
Bread event. But yeah, they were really cool. Who else? What's her name from the milk company? Does she go to? I don't think she goes to farmers markets.
I don't remember her.
She should though. She's at same level.
Yeah.
But it's like that attention to detail, and so it's kind of like the story behind what the farmers market vendors bring to the table.
Yeah, and they're in the community. I mean, you go to the grocery store, you don't know who the heck grew your vegetables, and unless it says organic, it's definitely not. And
even if it says organic, it might not still
that's still a big question mark. But the folks that are growing there, like, I got sweet potatoes from Love Grows, and I'm like, oh my God, these are the best sweet potatoes I've ever had. It's just so much more delicious when they're picked, that week or the day before or whatever it is, and and they go about farming in the way that farming should be, and it's not using chemicals. They're using compost and regenerative ways of keeping the soil healthy, and it's reflective in what they're feeding us.
What so like you're a for-profit business then?
I am.
But do you qualify, or do you get any sort of like tax incentives or like any sort of benefits? Because like what you're doing is kind of like good for it's green.
It
air
is.
Industry kind of thing. Like, is there any sort of like incentive for you to do this?
So there are grants and such that that can be applied for. But I'm not getting a kickback from like the government or anything.
I was just wondering if like there's any sort of like subsidized benefit, because there are people that are doing this, but it's not really like, I don't know anybody else besides you locally doing this. So I didn't know if there was any sort of like, incentive like for you that you could give people, like if the government were able to give you an incentive that you could like pass on to people. Like I was just wondering how to generate like more volume, I guess, of this benefit, because it does seem like, I mean, the soil issue is irrefutable at this point, and then what you're doing is like, it would take a lot for that to help the situation of how bad it is with the soil. But I think that like what you're doing is like if like enough people did it, like it would make a pretty big dent in the problem, I would think.
I think so. I mean, it's kind of weird. I was talking to somebody earlier today, and in other countries, it's just the norm. You just you separate your food waste out. Like the Europeans, or I have a customer that she's from South Korea, and she's like, this is just what we did. And it was no different. You took the trash out, you took your recycling, you separated your paper, you separated your compost, and it was just part of life.
Yeah.
And, we've just got a long way to go here. You've got places like Vermont that it's mandatory, and I think California's getting there, and Massachusetts, and but we just drag our feet in the mud because we think we're gonna, affect somebody's revenue in some way. But like for instance, if we just said, all right, no more fertilizer, done, like that industry is dead, and we used composts as the alternative, which it should just be the norm, but as the alternative. I mean, we've got to look at it in a way where it's like, is capitalism more important than caring for the only planet that we have to live on.
Yeah.
And when you start to shift your perspective like that and you're going, oh, yeah, this is, it's not just Pennsylvania or the United States. Like, we all live on one planet until, somebody finds some new place out in, the whatever solar system. But, we may as well give a shit about the place that we live in. So
there are and have been a lot of benefits to capitalism, but there's a lot of byproducts of capitalism that we're kind of just stuck in.
Yeah.
That you would think at this level of like, it's like it's kind of like when you say like, oh, when I make more money, I'll do that, like whatever that thing is.
Right.
Or it's like, I'll donate, I don't have the money to donate now, but like when I have the money, I'll give back.
Right.
And then when you get the money, you don't give, like people are just, they don't give
You don't
back.
keep it.
I mean, there are people that do. So like, that's why I was kind of saying like, it would be nice to see like an incentive, because like, yes, unfortunately, like our culture is largely driven by money and more.
Yeah.
The concept of just like more everything. But like if we could somehow tie like the financial benefits of, like, unfortunately, but like if you could tie the financial benefits of composting to the bigger picture and then bring it, like scale it back down to the individual, it would be a no-brainer. But the problem is like a lot of people are disconnected from like the problem. Like people just go to the store, they buy what they buy, and then they go home. They don't realize like, how many, like they're talking like that there's going to be like 60 more seasons of farming left.
Yeah.
Because of like the quality of soil. Did you know about this? So like the soil is so like just dead. Like there's nothing, like no microbes and like no like
nutrients.
Yeah, basically micronutrients left in a lot of the soil that's being farmed, that like eventually it's going to just start, we're going to have like Dust Bowl 2.0. And like, yeah.
Damn.
I mean, like, let's hope that's not true.
Yeah, so it's not true.
But if it is, like, how many more years of like eating do you find important?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if you had kids in the last, couple of years, like you should kind of be like, oh wait a minute.
Yeah, it's something to pay attention to.
Yeah, it makes sense, and I think you're doing a great job, like making it easy.
I mean, that's people don't really want to go, and not everybody, but like a lot of people just don't want to go way out of their way to do something. If you can make it super simple that it becomes a no-brainer for people, then they'll just adopt a new habit pretty quickly. And I don't want to make it hard for anybody. I'll happily do all the hard work and all the gross and smelly dirty work. Like that is fine by me.
Yeah.
So long as there's a lot of participation. A lot of people have this mindset of like, it's not my problem, or I don't generate enough, or we all create food waste, whether you forgot about the sandwich in the back of your fridge or you made a cup of coffee and had a banana for breakfast. Either way,
like there's waste there.
Yeah, there's inevitable waste, which is your coffee grounds and your banana peels and stuff like that. And then there's oops, I forgot about that, or this apple was disgusting because it was out of season and it tasted weird.
Yeah, my wife has made me pull trash back out of the trash can. She's like, did you just throw that pizza crust in the trash? I'll be like, no.
Trying to lie to her.
Yeah. Definitely, it wasn't me.
It was Rambo.
Yeah,
it was.
What? I'll just be like, what? How much of like what you're doing right now, like, or how much of your time is spent like educating people?
Every single day. I mean, it's either through social media, through farmers markets. I've done a lot of teaching to students, which is younger kids, which is really exciting.
Like you've gone into schools.
I've gone into
That's
schools.
Probably
cool. They're so much fun, and they're just like they're little sponges, and they have no filter. So when they say things, it's coming right out, and they have some good ideas.
They're like, yes, Billy, we are killing the planet.
So
it's like kids are rough.
Yeah, so I had this one profound experience with a student, and I don't know, I went to a class, and maybe they were 7 or 8 years old, and I said to them, anything that was once alive can be composted, and this young girl raised her hand. And she said, "Well, we're alive. Can we be composted?" And I'm like, "Oh my God!" Like the answer is yes, And she's like, "Okay, well, if this is true, how come we don't have these flower fields of people, and why are we putting people in coffins and what?" And I'm like, "You're 7 or 8 years old. Please run for president." Like, what?
Yeah.
It's
like, yeah, Megan, you've got it all figured out.
she did. And it was just astounding to just listen to, not only her, but the other questions that the kids had. And, they were just so into it.
Yeah, it's really cool to see how, like, imaginative kids that age are and how, like, problems are just so simple.
Yeah.
And then what's disappointing is, like, you think about, like, oh, wow, that's so cool. Like, the kid's got it all figured out. And then you're like, wait a minute. Like, what happens between, like, now when you have figured it out to, like, you becoming an adult? Like, all that kind of just, like, disappears.
Yeah. So, I think it's the responsibility of parents and educators, and really to continue, driving that message home, but also to do something about it, right? If your kid has an idea or is interested in something like this, like pursue it with them. It might be unconventional or out of the ordinary, but, it's the beauty of kids and having just kind of a creative mind that's not hampered down by all of I got bills to pay, and I got this and this, like, plenty of time for that. Just explore and be, curious and inquisitive.
Yeah. That's, I wonder how many of those kids, like, when you speak to kids, I wonder, like, how many of them go home and, like, because kids talk to their parents when they go home.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder how many times, like, kids came home and, like, their parents became customers because of that.
It has happened, and or I've had kids that are already, their parents are customers, and so they're like, I do this at home, and they're talking about it to all the other kids, and the best is I have this a worm bin, right? So worms can be used in composting, and I bring a worm bin out to the classroom and just show the kids how the worms break food waste down and what that looks like. And so I'm wondering, how's your day at school? Well, I saw this entire bin of worm poop, and it's so I'm hoping that I'm bringing some fun to the dinner conversation there.
Yeah, I'm sure there's impact there, because, like, when we were kids, like, people like you, maybe not the compost company, but, like, different people would come to, like, speak to, like, my school. And, like, you always remember that stuff as kids. You're like, you remember that time when the author came to our school and they talked to us about, like, surviving in the wild?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. That's, like, very, very impactful at that age, because you don't have an immense amount of experience to, like, compare anything to. So, like, everything's wild.
Yeah. I want people to come. Yeah, there's this lady. She came and she did all this, and we need to start composting.
Not even that, but then you're teaching kids at a young age to do that, because I wasn't taught that at that age. I didn't know what composting was until I met Anna. I was like, what the hell was this?
Yeah.
I mean, like, in all fairness, they don't.
Yeah.
Schools barely teach, like, they don't even teach, like, financial literacy.
Yeah,
like,
there you go.
They don't have time for compost.
Mm-hmm.
No.
So it's kind of.
They need to make a little adjustment there of how to here's how to be a human.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are cool schools that I've heard of that, like different friends of mine send their kids to, or different things, where, like, one of my buddies sends his kid to it's like a kindergarten preschool type setup, but it's, like, literally on a farm, and they, like, feed chickens and
that's awesome.
do, like, farm stuff all day. I mean, there's some classroom component to it, but they're literally, like, feeding a horse. Like, they're just doing all, like, this like farm rough culture type stuff, like that. Like, I'm like, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I thought, like, what would I have turned, like, what would I be like if because you're just a more well-rounded person when you see, like, when you're exposed to that volume of things at a young age, because kids are getting the technology and all that stuff. Like they're figuring that stuff out without school. Like they had computers class when we were in school. Like they had typing.
Yeah.
Like now I don't think they probably have that stuff.
No,
no, they come out.
You grow up
like,
typing. Like you're literally born with an iPhone.
Yeah, it's insane seeing my nephews figure out how to use different programs and apps without never having seen them at all. Like they just download something new and they just already know how to use them. Like, God damn, that's insane.
So what I'm saying when I campaign, there's no more typing or computers classes. Like, why don't we have, farming or gardening or different?
It's coming around. I think, some schools are, adopting a like a garden and, talking about that, like, or like some parts of like biology or botany or something like that. But yeah, I mean, you need to know where your food comes from. It just doesn't come from a store in a box. Like here's how something grows, and it's important. I think those are like foundational things that every child should know about, so that as they get older, they have these more informed decision-making tools to say.
And they're like appreciative.
Yeah, and how much time does it goes into growing your tomatoes, and how hard is it to harvest or not? But it's fun, right? Like you start this seedling, it grows, and you get food at the end. Like it's great.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see like what our culture would look like if that appreciation or realization of how much goes into every little thing.
Yeah.
Because right now it's just like the phone, you type something into the phone and then Amazon man brings the stuff out.
Yeah.
Right? But if you realize that, like, even just like you said, like a tomato, like if you at a young age had to like raise your own tomato plant, when you got older, you would think like you would look at food waste much different.
Yeah.
If you knew that like your tomato plant could just die on you at any time. It's like, oh, you overwatered it, dead.
Yeah.
Bugs, dead. It's like, oh man, like this is actually really hard. Like I appreciate these tomatoes.
Yeah, for sure.
I have that appreciation for Brussels sprouts. I grew them one year and it took months.
Wow.
Months to grow. One stalk was good. I harvested like 20 Brussels sprouts. I only had like 2 plants, but I harvested like 20 Brussels sprouts, and then just bugs came and ravaged the one plant. And I was like, oh man, that was 6 months of effort or whatever it was to grow this plant.
It just loses some bugs.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to saute them and eat them.
Yeah.
Extra protein.
Hey,
that's right.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't have that choice back in the day.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, so that's one of the things that it's just like, okay, wow, that was eye-opening. And I go to the grocery store and I get Brussels sprouts, and I'm like, I'm really thankful for these Brussels sprouts.
See, I feel a bit like exposed right now because like I love Brussels sprouts, but I have no idea what a Brussels sprout like plant looks like. Or like, can we
pull that up.
What is it like? We're getting educated here.
Yeah, misspelled it so hard, but it's all right.
Oh, that's kind of wild looking.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. They grow up on this stalk, and it's like you snap them off, and they're basically like cabbages growing on a pole.
Wow.
Wow.
That's some Jack and the Beanstalk type stuff right there. It just that's
insane.
not at all what like if you had to make me guess. That's what we should have done. We should have had like Andrew draw a picture of what you think of Brussels sprouts. like that's not at all like that's way cooler than what I would have thought.
What did you imagine?
I don't even know now because I've seen this.
You thought it was like a grapevine or something? Or maybe like how potatoes, they just underneath the ground?
Yeah, I guess like more of a, well, I know it's not a potato thing because it's green, so it's got photosynthesis going on.
Yeah, you're right.
But I guess they kind of look like if you looked at them real quick, like you'd be like, that's a pineapple.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of looks like it has like a lettucey top to it. So it kind of looks like the lettuce grew too tall out of the ground and just like had some stuff hanging off of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But now I understand why you could only get you'd have to. I could put down some Brussels sprouts.
Yeah.
So
same.
I'm literally eating like multiple plants worth of Brussels sprouts potentially.
Yeah. You definitely are. I mean, that's maybe one of those stalks is like maybe part of your dinner. That's that's it. You don't really get any leftovers there. So you're definitely eating multiple plants.
What do you call your soil? Like, Is it something different? Like, is it Kona soil?
I just call it. I just call it Kona Compost, and
where does the name Kona come from?
so Kona's my dog.
Okay.
And when I was a little bit smaller, I would bring her out collecting compost with me, and she'd come and hang out and usually take a nap in the front seat. And because when I was starting the business and as I was leaving the corporate world, I said, all right, I have the opportunity to design my life. What do I want it to be? I want to hang out with my dog. I want to be outside. I want to make a difference in the world. How do I incorporate all of this stuff? And so she used to come and hang out. Now it's way too busy. So she'll hang out with me outside when I get home. But, she used to come and exactly. So she would come and keep me company.
What a good looking dog.
Yeah, she's a good girl. But yeah, the company's named after her.
Is it just you still, or do you have employees or anything yet?
Yeah, it's just me. I'll get to the point where I will need additional help. I'm not quite there yet, and I still can do it, but it's
starting
a lot.
To get a lot.
It's a lot, because it's like, I collect the compost, I will make the compost, but then you go home and you still have to do all of the other stuff and, prep for the farmers markets, do your stuff on QuickBooks and, so it's the life of a business owner. It is what it is. And, eventually we'll get to the point where, I'll send somebody out to go collect the compost so I can focus on some bigger stuff.
What, when you go to the farmer's market, what does that look like for you? Like, are you giving buckets out, selling memberships at that level, or are you just educating people?
It's both. It's a great opportunity for people to come up and ask questions. And, I do a bunch of educating about compost, but, I also do a lot of educating about gardenings and talking about regenerative practices and, vegetable gardening, fruit gardening, and I have a pretty strong interest in native plants. It depends on who comes up and has a conversation with me, but that's generally what I'll talk about. It's also nice for the customer to put a face to a name and be able to go like, okay, well, how does this work? Tell me more. And so I inevitably get a bunch of signups at the farmers market. It's just a great place for me to be.
Yeah. You're kind of coming to your customer base.
I am. A lot of people come up and ask questions that already compost. They have compost bins at home, but they have questions, and sometimes things aren't going so well, and they want to know how to fix it. And so I do offer compost consultations. Well, I will come out to your house. We'll work on your compost together, or I'll help you get up and running if that's what you wanted to do. And, so I'll do that. I'll do gardening consultations and, people will walk me through either what they're growing or what they plan to grow and, how they can do it better. And, so it's kind of a blend of everything that I really enjoy that I'm doing at my house anyhow. Again, how do I design my life? How do I want to spend my day?
That sounds really cool how you just kind of engineered your time to.
Yeah, it was, do I want to sit in an office? Nope, I'm done. Like, I'm done. I can't do that for anybody, in this lifetime again. I'm good on that. I experienced it. It was great. I learned a lot, but I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody can relate to that to a certain degree. Even if you're in an office right now listening to this.
Yeah. If you're in an office, feel free to break away.
Escape.
Follow the light.
Follow the light. Start composting first, though.
Yeah.
Use your hard-earned income to fix some soil.
Yeah, man.
Grow your own food. I mean, I feel like, over the pandemic, I was like, okay, when shit hit the fan, I was like, what do we grow our own food. This is great. I save seeds. This is also great. I've got fruit, and I'm like, we're good. We're totally good.
Yeah.
Combine that with a little mushroom foraging outside, and I've got.
Oh, you're into foraging?
I love it.
Wow.
His girlfriend over here
is
like a mushroom.
Yeah, she's
connoisseur.
She's actually studying microbiology, and she's doing a I'm going to butcher this, but I'm going to try to explain it the best I can to the knowledge that I picked up from her.
He's describing her crunch factor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So-
From a 1 to 10, crunch level is a.
I would say she's a solid 7.
Okay.
I
I
feel like
give
I'm
her an 8.
Yeah, I feel like I'm holding her back from being a 10.
Okay.
I modernize her too much.
Yes. Yeah, you are.
But basically, there's these woods in Princeton, and they have a lot of invasive species.
Yeah.
So she wants to find out if there are certain fungi that can break down those species after they've been cut off,
Oh,
so
cool.
they can naturally decompose. So yeah, she likes to forage. She's actually president of the mycology club in Mercer County, and
Cool.
so yeah, that'd be cool if you guys connected. like,
Oh,
go out
I'd
foraging
love
and
to.
stuff.
There's
yeah.
a great mycological
Yeah.
society
Get
there
together
too.
and forage.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, that's so much fun. I love going with her because I take all the photos whenever
Uh-huh.
she goes out, and I just have the best time with her. It's a lot of fun to go out and just identify mushrooms, come together with different people, and try to figure out what is what. I enjoy that a lot.
Yeah, I think
It's fascinating.
I have
Mhm.
done 0 of that, but I think it's definitely a goal of mine to
Oh,
be
you
able to
need
like
to.
walk around and be like, I know what that is.
Yeah.
With confidence.
Oh yeah.
Because now it's like a roll of the dice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's like, I don't know though, I want this adventure.
Yeah, dude, it's so
But
cool.
I think that's a cool talent to have, to
It
be able
is.
to
It's
kind of.
fun. I text my wife and I'm going, I'll be back in a little bit. I'm going to the supermarket. Okay. And then I text her a picture. I'm like, look what I found. And she's like, oh my God. All right. So I'll bring home dinner and I'm like, this is exciting, So, yeah. So I'll go out foraging for mushrooms, and I got, this fall, I got a nice haul of chestnuts.
Ooh.
And, I'm not going out there and going, way to the end of the scale of eating some weird stuff. I do it in a safe way, but,
Yeah.
it's nice to know that.
Have you ever grabbed a mushroom and been like,
No.
No, that could be, the first and
Oh,
last
no
time
way.
you try that mushroom.
Yeah.
So,
No way. No.
like, there's got to be a first person,
oh yeah,
They-
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
They had that then for
or
sure.
like if somebody forgets about mushroom, like say like there's like a strain of mushrooms that people forget about,
Mm.
and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh man, I can't find this one in the books. There's got to be another person for like a second time.
Who's willing to put
Yeah,
their
so
life on the line
there's
there?
folks out there that are willing to roll the dice on mushrooms.
That's insane.
Yeah,
They walk among us.
That's insane, dude.
It could go really wrong.
Yeah.
Like somebody who wrote that book that Anna studied to be like, these mushrooms are okay.
Oh yeah.
That dude or lady probably found out which mushrooms aren't okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they found the fun ones, the
And then
edible ones, and
and-
the deadly
Yeah.
ones.
And then somebody just like picked up their notebook off their dead body and was just like, I'm going to continue the path.
Yeah.
That's intense. That's why I think I want to get like into like understanding that stuff, so I feel less scared.
Mm-hmm.
Even though there's no chance of like, I guess if I like tripped and fell and like my mouth landed on a
How
mushroom,
stupid is that scenario?
that's the only way they're getting me. But like otherwise, like it's like shark diving,
yeah. You never know, dude.
but not.
yeah, you're
Yeah,
in
you
dangerous
just
waters.
don't know. Like they're not supposed to bite.
Yeah, it's their home, dude.
Right.
You're intruding.
It's like next time somebody asks you like what like foraging is like, be like, it's like shark diving, but on land.
I can look up and yawn. It'll fall in my mouth. You never know, dude.
Oh
Dude,
my
like,
God.
That's such a stupid scenario.
you said it.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. It'd be sad.
How can people find you? Like, what's the best way to connect with Kona Compost?
So either on social media, on Instagram or Facebook, or people can shoot me a note at info@konacompost.com. And come visit me at the farmers markets. I'll be at the Wrightstown Winter Market on December the 3rd, and probably be there a couple times throughout the winter season. So
We're kind of catching you like out of farmers market season right now. Are they still going on?
they are, yeah. I think the last of these, it's freezing outside now, but the last of the summer season is coming to an end. I know at the Yardley Farmers Market this weekend, and I think the Wrightstown Farmers Market maybe this weekend too, and then the winter market starts. So Yardley's having one, Wrightstown's having one, Doylestown's having one, and maybe Percy. I'm not
So
sure.
they do like one a month rather than one.
I think they're going twice a month.
It's taxing to stand out there in the cold.
Yeah,
the
weekend. Wrightstown one is inside, which is nice.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Is it still like near that quarry?
So, Wrightstown Winter Market is going to be at Chandler Hall in Newtown, and I know they were at the Grange all summer.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, and the Yardley Farmers Market is down at Buttonwood Park, which
I think that's probably how my wife found you, to be honest with you, because when we lived in Yardley, like the farmers market scene was a big deal for her on Saturdays.
Yeah, it's a nice farmers market. It's easy. There's parking. Great.
I think that's how she found Nord Bread too.
Oh yeah.
And then their stuff is amazing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But your website's really cool too.
Oh,
like the pictures are nice.
Yeah, it's helpful that I have a background in photography and design. So
yeah, it's funny how that comes in. Like your past will like help you out.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I'm able to shoot whatever or design whatever, and it's comes in handy.
Awesome.
Yeah, do a great job.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Do you have anything else? Do you have to add to this amazing podcast that we did here together? This work of gold.
Yeah. So
we hit home runs here.
Yeah, we did.
So I guess it's something that I know. So Thanksgiving's coming next weekend, and then we've got the holiday season, and it's just like it's a good time. So like for whatever holiday you celebrate, if you want a kind of a cool and unconventional gift for somebody, like get them a gift certificate to compost. Like set somebody up for don't get them a thing, get them an experience or something that'll kind of change life a little bit.
That would actually be like a pretty awesome gift.
Yeah.
Somebody thought enough about you to be like, hey, I'm investing in your future.
Yeah.
Environment.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, think about that. And if you're not composting yet, I guess, I always tell people, I was like, all right, if you're not convinced yet, just take, a Tupperware container and just put your food scraps in there for like a week or two and see how much it gets filled up.
Yeah.
And, holiday time especially, there's just a lot of food waste that happens. And, it's something that I think we can...
That is true. We are particularly wasteful this time of year.
Yeah. It's like, oh my God, too many cookies. I'm done. So, and they're compostable, by the way. So
cookies are? I eat all the cookies.
I eat all the cookies too.
I'm on cookie probation right now.
Are you?
Dang. There's a serious in our house. There's like a wanted poster for the dude or person, individual. I'm not gonna snitch myself out, but the Reese's Cups minis and like the cookies, dude.
It's just a silhouette of you. It's like this guy's
like
wanted.
Ariel will be like, "Oh, give me that Reese's Cup wrapper that you have in your pocket," and I'll be like, all right, so I'll hand it to her. I'll hand one to her. I'll have like 4 more in there. I'll be like, I guess she can't know.
Yeah.
So pat me down. She'll be like, give me the cups. Show up in the fridge and be like, were you eating cups?
You eating the cups?
No, I haven't had any yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So all that stuff if you don't eat your chocolate, I highly recommend that you do. It can go in the compost. So, but yeah, it's just something to consider as we get into the holiday and New Year's resolution time, right? It's like, let's flip the calendar, start something a little different, and maybe include that in your, it's like how to be more sustainable. What's an easy thing to do?
What are there anything that people try to compost that we need to let them know that you can't compost?
So
asking for a friend.
Yes, asking for a friend. So all food is compostable, right? But I don't know. It's the thing that I guess bothers me the most, or that people, it's marketed to them that they can compost it, or like compostable plastics and utensils and plates and cups and
actually.
They are, but in an industrial facility, and it's like, let's just use the reusable stuff. It's so easy.
Yeah.
So I want that stuff to kind of, go by the wayside and make that trend go away. It's total greenwashing in my opinion. But that's the one thing that it's just, I don't want that stuff at all.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. The idea of like plastic water bottles, when I started to think about that, like, what did we used to do? Like 50 years ago, there weren't plastic water.
You drank from the hose, and it was completely safe.
or
it's
you
like
filled up
I guess
A
a
jug.
mason jar, and you just
Yeah.
rolled dirty with no lid.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody's just so quick to water bottle it up now. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy. Put that on your New Year's resolution. No, get yourself a nice metal bottle. And
Yeah.
get yourself
more-
a Yeti. Treat
no
yourself.
more plastics.
Yeah. Exactly.
This was a good time.
Yeah.
I feel like we learned a lot today. Did you learn anything?
Yeah. Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm doing this for you.
Thanks. Yeah.
I'm trying to you do so much for me. I'm trying to
to.
talk dirt.
I would
So,
like
yeah.
this episode to be named Let's Talk Dirty.
Let's talk dirty.
Compost.
Okay.
Well, we can make that happen.
Okay.
That's happening.
Let's talk dirty. Congratulations, you're the first person that gave us an episode title.
Oh,
that,
yeah,
like,
look
we,
at
Oh,
that.
good.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah, you get the
Hey,
claps.
all right.
yeah, we finally got a sound effect. No shotgun today.
Yeah, all right, fine. I'll give you one. Just cause.
So thanks for coming in.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
I guess do we have to? There's nothing we have to shout out today,
No.
other than ourselves and the subscription button that you must press.
Yeah, and enjoy the holidays.
Enjoy the holidays. Thanksgiving's next week for us, but you probably will be listening to this around halfway to Christmas.
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't know when Hanukkah is this year, but it could be Hanukkah.
Could be Hanukkah.
You could be lighting candles as you listen to this episode.
Exactly.
So we appreciate everybody that listens. We hope you learned something. I feel like there should be some action taken. If you listen to this episode, it's very clear what you must do now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have your orders and sign up online or search on Instagram. So thanks for coming, and that's that.